I stared at the gold-embossed invitation to my parents' 30th wedding anniversary celebration, the heavy paper stock feeling like lead in my hands. The handwritten note attached made their position clear. Emma, given your current situation, we think it's best if you skip the celebration. We can't have your financial struggles overshadowing our special day. Love, Mom and Dad. Standing in my modest apartment's living room, actually a $12 million penthouse I'd purchased through a shell corporation, I couldn't help but laugh at the irony. If they only knew that their precious dream house, the crown jewel of Beverly Hills estates, had been quietly purchased by one of my investment firms 3 months ago. They still thought I was struggling after leaving my stable job at their friend's law firm to chase pipe dreams in real estate investment. Little did they know that I'd built Morgan Capital into a $4.6 billion property empire, all while maintaining the facade of a struggling entrepreneur. My phone buzzed, a message from my CFO, final paperwork processed. The Morgan family properties are now officially under your holding company. Should we send the new mortgage terms? I smiled, remembering my parents' smug faces at last Christmas dinner when they'd showcased their newly renovated mansion. This is what real success looks like, my mother had said, pointedly eyeing my simple sweater and jeans. That same mansion was now technically mine, along with half of their precious Beverly Hills neighborhood. Emma. My assistant Sarah's voice came through the intercom. Your brother James is calling again. He wants to know if you've come to your senses about attending the anniversary party. James. The golden child. Harvard law graduate, partner at a prestigious firm, married to a state senator's daughter. He never missed an opportunity to remind me of my poor life choices. Tell him I'm busy with work, I replied, walking to my floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Los Angeles. From here I could see several buildings owned by Morgan Capital, including the high-rise that housed James's law firm, another recent acquisition he didn't know about yet. My phone rang again, this time my mother. I let it go to voicemail, already knowing what she'd say. The same thing she'd been saying for 5 years. When would I get a real job and stop embarrassing the family? The voicemail notification pinged. Emma, darling, I'm just calling to make sure you understood our note. The anniversary party is going to be covered by Society magazine and we simply can't have, well, you know. Your father's reputation in the real estate world is too important. Maybe once you've achieved something substantial. I ended the message, turning to my desk where the latest Forbes magazine lay hidden under some papers. The cover story, Morgan Capital, the mysterious billion-dollar real estate empire, featured a silhouetted photo of me, identity carefully concealed. My father had actually shown me that article last week, completely unaware that he was bragging about his failure daughter's company. This is how you build real success, he'd lectured. Not like these small-time property deals you keep talking about. Sarah buzzed again. The mortgage notices are ready to be sent. And the Society magazine reporter called. They want a statement from Morgan Capital about acquiring the Beverly Hills Heritage Collection. My parents' house was part of that collection. Their anniversary party, scheduled for tomorrow night at their mansion, would be the perfect time for the announcement. Send the notices, I said quietly. And tell the reporter I'll have a statement at tomorrow night's event. My phone buzzed one final time, an email from James. Emma, stop being difficult. Mom and Dad are just trying to protect their reputation. When you've achieved something worthwhile, you'll understand the importance of maintaining social standing. Not everyone can be successful. That's just life. I placed the invitation on my desk, next to the mortgage papers that would soon inform my parents that their dream house had a new owner. Tomorrow night, they'd learn exactly what their unsuccessful daughter had achieved. The sound of a helicopter approaching caught my attention. My 7 p.m. meeting with Asian investors was arriving right on schedule. Time to close another billion-dollar deal while my family prepared for their perfect party. I straightened my simple blazer. Actually a $15,000 piece from a designer who only served private clients, and smiled. Sometimes the best success stories are written in silence. And tomorrow night, my family would finally hear what I'd been writing all these years. The day of the anniversary party dawned bright and clear over Los Angeles. From my penthouse office in downtown LA, I watched multiple news notifications pop up on my phone. Morgan Capital acquires Beverly Hills Heritage Collection. Mysterious real estate mogul expands empire. Billion-dollar purchase reshapes a luxury market. My mother's frantic call came exactly 12 minutes after the mortgage notices were delivered. Emma. Emergency. Someone bought our house. Your father is beside himself. All our friends in the neighborhood got the same notice. The anniversary party is in ruins. I let her panic wash over me, remembering all the times she'd dismissed my career choices. That sounds stressful, Mom. But I thought I wasn't invited to help with family emergencies anymore. This is different, she practically shrieked. This is our reputation. Our standing. Morgan Capital, they're this huge investment firm. Your father says they never sell once they buy. We'll have to rent our own house. The irony of her coming to me for help about my own company almost made me laugh. Have you tried reaching out to the new owner? Nobody knows who runs Morgan Capital. They're like ghosts. Just some woman called E.M. Morgan, but that's probably not even her real name. And she stopped abruptly. Emma. Morgan. Emma Morgan. Yes, Mother. The silence on the other end was deafening. I could almost hear the pieces clicking together in her mind. That's not possible, she whispered. You're struggling. You make small-time property deals. You own your house, I finished quietly. Along with most of Beverly Hills' premier properties. Though I have to say, the Morgan family estate was a particularly satisfying acquisition. The sound of something shattering in the background. Probably one of her precious crystal vases. Your father needs to hear this. James needs to... Oh God, James's building. You mean the Anderson Tower? Yes, Morgan Capital acquired that last month. Amazing how many properties one can buy while being a disappointment, isn't it? My executive assistant buzzed in. Ms. Morgan, the Society magazine reporter, is here for your statement about the Heritage Collection acquisition. Emma, my mother's voice had taken on a desperate quality. The party, all our friends will be here tonight. The magazine coverage will be excellent, I assured her. After all, it's not every day that Beverly Hills' most mysterious billionaire reveals her identity at her parents' anniversary party. Another crash in the background, this time followed by what sounded like my father's voice. Morgan Capital? The same Morgan Capital that bought out half my development projects last year. Put Dad on speaker, I suggested mildly. Emma. His voice was shaking. What have you done? Built an empire, I replied simply. Though I have to thank you both, your constant disapproval made excellent cover for my acquisitions. No one looks too closely at the struggling daughter. But the Morgan method of property acquisition, the Asian market expansion, the luxury portfolio restructuring. All me, Dad. Remember when you showed me that Forbes article telling me that's how real success is built? I particularly enjoyed that conversation. James's voice joined the chaos. Apparently, I was now on family conference call. This is impossible. I would have known if my own sister owned your building? I interrupted. Along with most of your firm's prime properties? Amazing how much you can miss while you're busy looking down on someone. My phone buzzed with another notification. Wall Street Journal requesting exclusive interview with E.M. Morgan following Beverly Hills acquisition. The party starts at 7, I continued calmly. The Society magazine reporter is very interested in covering the family reunion aspect of tonight's revelation. Shall I tell her to expect a warm welcome? You can't do this, James sputtered. Our reputation, my connections, are now dependent on your unsuccessful sister's goodwill, I finished. Funny how life works out, isn't it? My mother found her voice again. Emma, please, we can talk about this, renegotiate. Oh, we will, I assured her. Tonight. In front of all your friends, Society magazine and the business press. I think it's time everyone met the real E.M. Morgan, don't you? The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of my father's heavy breathing. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a magazine interview to conduct and an anniversary party to prepare for. Oh, and Mom? Don't worry about my attire. I think I can manage to dress appropriately for once. I ended the call and turned to my assistant. Is my Chanel ready? Yes, Ms. Morgan. Though perhaps the Dior would make a bigger statement. I smiled, thinking of all the times my mother had criticized my cheap clothes. The Chanel, sometimes understated, makes the loudest statement. As I prepared for the evening that would reshape my family's understanding of success, I couldn't help but appreciate the poetry of it all. They'd banned me from their celebration of love and achievement, only to discover that their entire concept of success had been built on a foundation I owned. The sun was setting over Beverly Hills as my Rolls-Royce, driven by my ever-faithful assistant Sarah, pulled up to my parents' mansion, or rather my mansion. The property's magnificent facade was lit up for the anniversary celebration, and I could see dozens of Los Angeles's elite filing through the grand entrance. "The press is already here," Sarah noted, nodding toward the cluster of photographers and reporters. "And your brother's car just arrived." I watched James emerge from his Mercedes, his wife Catherine clutching his arm like a lifeline. They'd clearly heard the news. Their usually impeccable appearance showed signs of stress. "Ms. Morgan," my security chief murmured through my earpiece, "your parents are attempting to delay the reporters. Should we proceed as planned?" "Absolutely," I replied, checking my reflection one final time. The Chanel dress, a masterpiece of understated elegance, had cost more than James's car. It's time for E.M. Morgan to make her debut. The moment I stepped out of the Rolls, the reporters surged forward. They'd been promised an exclusive reveal of Morgan Capital's mysterious CEO, and the sight of me heading toward my parents' anniversary party was not what they'd expected. "Ms. Morgan, is it true you own the entire Heritage Collection? How long have you been operating under a pseudonym? Did your family know about your success?" I paused at the entrance where James and Catherine stood frozen in shock. "Brother dear," I smiled, "shouldn't you be greeting your sister?" "Emma," he choked out, "what are you doing?" "Attending my parents' anniversary party," I replied innocently. "Though I suppose I should say attending my tenant's anniversary party." The reporters' cameras went wild at this exchange. Tomorrow's headlines were already writing themselves. Inside, the mansion's grand ballroom was filled with the very people who'd spent years dismissing me as the Morgan family failure. I spotted Judge Harrison, who'd once told my father I'd never amount to anything. He was standing beneath a chandelier I'd actually purchased last month through one of my subsidiary companies. My mother spotted me first. She was wearing her favorite Versace gown, probably chosen to showcase her superior taste to Society magazine. The color drained from her face as she saw the reporters following me. "Emma," she hissed, hurrying over. "What are you doing?" "We specifically said that I wasn't successful enough to attend," I finished. "I think Morgan Capital so has sufficient standing for your party, don't you?" The nearby guests who overheard this exchange suddenly went very quiet. The name Morgan Capital had that effect on people lately. "Morgan Capital?" Judge Harrison stuttered. "But that's the company that just acquired the Beverly Hills Heritage Collection?" I smiled. "Among other things. Though I have to thank you, Judge Harrison. Your comments about my potential really motivated me to succeed." My father appeared, looking years older than he had at Christmas. "Emma, please. We can discuss this privately. Like you discussed banning me from your anniversary?" I kept my voice pleasant. "Besides, Society magazine is very interested in the family angle of this story. Shall we give them what they want?" The reporter from Society magazine stepped forward, recorder in hand. "Mr. and Mrs. Morgan, how does it feel to learn that your daughter is one of Los Angeles's most successful real estate moguls?" My mother's Society mask cracked completely. We're very proud." "Are you?" I asked quietly, because this morning's voicemail suggested otherwise. "Should I play it for everyone?" James tried to intervene. "Emma, you're making a scene." "Actually," I turned to the reporters, "I'd love to tell you about how I built Morgan Capital. You see, 5 years ago my family's constant dismissal of my abilities gave me the perfect cover to operate undetected. While they thought I was failing, I was acquiring properties across Asia and Europe, including, eventually, most of their own assets." The cameras flashed continuously as I continued. "The Morgan method of property acquisition? Named after me, not my father. The Asian market expansion? My strategy. This mansion? Purchased through one of my holding companies 3 months ago." My father's business associates were muttering amongst themselves, no doubt connecting dots about various deals and acquisitions that suddenly made sense. "But why maintain the deception?" the Society magazine reporter asked. Because success tastes sweeter when it's earned, not inherited, I replied, looking directly at my parents. Every dismissive comment, every condescending lecture about real business, every invitation not extended, they all became motivation to build something bigger than they could imagine. My phone buzzed. Another news alert. Morgan Capital revelation. Family drama behind billion-dollar empire. Now, I addressed the crowded ballroom, I believe we're here to celebrate my parents' anniversary. Though perhaps we should also celebrate the revelation that the daughter they banned from the party actually owns the house it's being held in. The silence that followed was deafening. My mother's carefully planned society event had transformed into something else entirely, a public unveiling of family dynamics and hidden success that would be talked about for years. Your new mortgage terms are quite reasonable, I added, smiling at my shell-shocked parents. Though we should discuss the rent during our first official landlord-tenant meeting. James stepped forward, his lawyer instincts finally kicking in. You can't just own most of Beverly Hills? I interrupted. Already do. Control your firm's building? Sign the papers last month. Reshape our family's entire understanding of success? Watch me. The reporters were scribbling frantically as I moved through the crowd toward the main table. Guests parted before me like the Red Sea, their expressions a mixture of shock, respect, and dawning recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, I announced, raising a champagne glass, a toast to my parents' 30 years of marriage. And perhaps also to the revelation that success doesn't always wear the label you expect. As the stunned guests mechanically raised their glasses, I caught my reflection in the ballroom's ornate mirrors. The daughter they'd banished from their celebration had returned as their landlord, their success story and their biggest revelation. My mother's carefully planned society event had become the stage for a very different kind of family reunion. And as the cameras flashed and the reporters circled, I couldn't help but appreciate the poetry of it all. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's success hidden in plain sight, wrapped in the very dismissal that inspired it. Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad, I said softly. Consider this my gift, the truth about your unsuccessful daughter.